Right, I think we're a few minutes in, so we're going to get started this evening. So welcome to this evening's online seminar from CIHT Dubai, which is about acquiring a professional qualification in engineering, supported by CIHT. Just some housekeeping points. Can you just keep your microphone and camera turned off at all times? If you want to ask a question, can you use the chat feature in Zoom? And that chat feature is monitored by Nabras from the CIHT Dubai committee, and she'll be moderating those questions and answers after the presentation as is concluded. And the seminar is being recorded, and a copy of the presentation and the video will be available at this email address afterwards. So this evening, just following a brief introduction, we're going to have a presentation led by Michelle Wood on acquiring a professional qualification in engineering, but with three qualified engineers who will basically be talking about their experience and their journey to get their qualifications. That's about 50 minutes, and then we will have about 20 minutes of Q&A at the end, and we're concluding by about 7:20 Dubai time, though we might run over depending on questions. So just a brief introduction and welcome. My name is Jonathan Spear. I'm the chair of CIHT Dubai, and I think most of you, or many of you, will know this already. Some facts about CIHT itself: it's a membership organisation based out of the UK with about 14,000 members, but it also has significant international representation as well. In fact, represented in apparently over 85 different countries across the world. And we have branches in Ireland, Hong Kong, Malaysia, and now the United Emirates. We organise knowledge sharing, technical meetings, professional networking, and also being a member of CIHT offers career advancement and demonstrating to the industry or your employer or indeed yourself that you have the skills and experience to advance your career, support the profession, and maintain professional standards in a number of different areas shown here, whether it's public policy, whether it's transport planning, traffic management, infrastructure engineering, which of course we're going to talk about this evening, sustainability, in a number of different areas. So we cover quite a broad church of skills and experience, and also quite a broad range of membership opportunities, whether you're starting as a student or as an apprentice, or going to a professional member of CIHT, or for longer experience and membership of the profession, in fact becoming a fellow. And further details available on the CIHT website if you're not a member and you wish to become a member kind of moving forward. I've already said that CIHT is an international organisation in terms of its membership. It's now in the UAE, which was an idea that was conceived at the World Road Congress held in Abu Dhabi in October of last year. We have a committee established in Dubai with initial focus on seminars and knowledge sharing, such as this evening's event. We also had a plan for 2020, which, like many other people, was blown off course somewhat by COVID-19. But nevertheless, we're actually continuing development of the group in a revised format, not least putting our events online, certainly for the rest of the year and probably sometime into 2021 now, as the pandemic hopefully will resolve itself within the next few months. So there's more information on the Dubai Group and the institution generally on the CIHT website with the address shown here. We have a committee, so here are the current membership of the committee, and we're also always looking for new ideas and new members and new support. So if you want to volunteer, then just let us know. And moving forward, what's coming up? Well, we'll be hosting a series of more evening seminars on various topics. We're aiming to do roughly one a month. We are establishing a regional membership and contacts network, not only across the UAE, but across the GCC more generally. Mentoring and support for qualifications, which you're about to hear about more in the presentation. And potentially looking at activities elsewhere in the UAE, not least Abu Dhabi, but other parts of the country as well. So as I say, ideas welcome. If you want to get involved, then contact us, one member of the committee. We're happy to hear from you. And with no further ado, I think that's an introduction to the institution. And now on to the main topic of the evening. Acquiring a professional qualification in engineering with CIHT. And Michelle, the floor is yours.
Okay, well, nice to have so many people attending. I'm going to just show my face for now, and I'm going to turn it off shortly. This evening, okay, next slide. I think I have to say that, don't I?
You do, sorry.
Sorry, nobody told me that, but I presume that's the case. Okay, the seminar will commence in this way. So we're going to talk about the process of acquiring CEng and IEng. Myself, I'm going to outline the basic process, and then we have 3 really welcome input from CEng guys who's going to share their journey. This will be right at the end. It will be Fergal Han from Duffy Consulting Engineers, Shrima from KTIP and Alami, and Have from Arcadis. All of them are based in the Middle East, so very, very local, and they'll be able to share experiences on how to make and improve your journey. Next slide, please. Okay, just a brief history about myself. I'm basically a transport planner, but I'm coordinating all the professional development journey for applicants, both the CEng, both the engineering and the planning side. My profession is basically in transport planning, but I've been chair of the London region about 10 years ago, and through the various posts, and I'm also on the Dubai committee and the Hong Kong. Just like to get my fingers in all the pies as such. And so next slide, please. Right, okay, there are just a very quick overview before I go into the process itself. The professional registration through CEng, for CEng, IEng, and the apprenticeship level as all through CIHT. For the engineering, the qualification would be awarded basically and credited by the Engineering Council. So on the engineering side, this would be the chartered engineers, the incorporated engineer, and engineering technician. So I don't know anybody who's attended the transport planning one, which I delivered a couple of months ago. And for those who are interested in the apprenticeship standard, please get in touch. But the apprenticeship standards and application is very much a UK-based standard and qualification, so that won't be applicable for the Middle East. Next slide, please. Okay, basically what is professional registration? The Engineering Council identify as providing a benchmark through which the public employers and their clients can have confidence and trust that registered engineers and technicians have met globally recognized professional standards. So please note that once you get your CEng or IEng, this is recognized automatically as a professional qualification worldwide. So it's not limited to UK, it's not limited to UAE, it's not limited to Qatar, etc. So wherever you are in the world, you will be recognized, and you could put the post-norm CEng or IEng behind your business cards. Next slide, please. So basically, this is the Engineering Council. It's outlined the UK specification and requirement, and at the competence level. So you can see, if you want more information, go and search on internet for on the icon that you can see on the UK specs. It lists out in very much detail what needs to be met. Overview is 4 generic competence, A, B, C, and D. So knowledge and understanding is A. B is the design and development of processes of your work. And C is very much how you prepare for management or leadership level, and how you take your work and your team forward. Communication, D, is very important because you need to communicate your ideas. So these are the generic ones, and they all need to be met at a very high level for you to be recognized. So just remember, health and safety risk assessment is an essential part, which is integrated into the generic competence recognition. Next slide, please. So to become qualified, you need your required knowledge, experience, and professional commitment to a specific level. And you also, most importantly, need to demonstrate your competence in all these 3 areas. And now you're mentally prepared, you'll be able to sit for your professional review. So all the CEng reviews, engineering reviews, interviews would be carried out online, and there are 2 every year. So mid-year, May, June, and then at the end of the year, November, they'll all be taken online. So it doesn't matter where you are residing in the world, you will be able to take it from where you are. Next. So just for knowledge, the academic benchmark that demonstrate your required level is, for the CEng, you need to have an accredited MEng or BSc honors with accredited master. For the IEng path, you just need a accredited BSc, and enable to check your accreditation, send your qualification through to CIHT, or you can actually, you go online on CIHT website, and it will take you to a website automatically where you can find whether your degree or masters are accredited for taking forward through the process. Next slide, please. For experience through the CEng and IEng route, you need at least 5 years practical experience that is post-degree level, post your degree experience. And for EngTech, it's normally 2 to 3 years practical experience. So the difference between getting your CEng through CIHT is the highway and transportation context, and making sure you match the relevant experience. Are very much different from ICE, because ICE has a great spread of civil engineering experience, whereas CIHT is very focused on the highway and transportation. You'll see that later in the specialist area. Next slide, please. So professional commitment, it's very important. We need to show your conduct, understand the wider social and environmental implication, especially on sustainability, and maybe how you mitigate the climate change in your daily work. Very importantly is health and safety and the risk management, as quite a lot of you will be working on site, and how you take that process forward, avoiding public liability implications, and commitment to your CPD. All CEng or IEng people, and even TPP, once you've acquired your qualification, you need to maintain that 25 hours, basic 25 hours annually, and you'll be subjected to instant search, and they could call you up anytime, and you have to demonstrate you've got that 25 hours that year, and your commitment to the equality, diversity, and inclusion through your work. Next slide. So there are two basic routes through getting through the professional registration, standard route and individual route. Standard route is basically you've matched the academic requirement as set up by the Engineering Council, and then you go immediately to undertake or get prepared for your professional review. For the individual route, it's those people who've not met the benchmark set by EC, but you can acquire that benchmark qualification by preparing and submitting and getting being successful on your technical report and further learning report, which is another option. So once you got that, it's all approved, you can go to your professional review. Next slide, please. Okay, so if you are not sure whether you are going through the standard route or the individual route, which is mainly the technical report, because if you go immediately on the CIHT website and click on the CEng route, there will be an option for you to submit online what you have to date, your qualification, etc., and they will do an instant initial assessment. And those are the requirements that you need to send them: your CV, copies of certificate, and any training schemes you've undertaken. Send that off. Next slide. And after submission, your attachments will be assessed, and they will advise whether you can go forward through the standard route or you need to do the technical report. Next slide, please. So this is the website. So as I said, you go online and click that, and you'll be able, it says apply for CEng. Click on it, complete our initial assessment form today, and submit all your stuff through that. Next slide, please. Okay, there are 8 specialist areas. So if your work is specializing in one of these areas, you need to decide which is the area of work you do most of your work in. So transport planning or materials and geotechnics, traffic management, safety system, infrastructure, transport related structural engineering, or if you're in academia working or teaching, that was applicable. Doing research work, and also if you have been working in ITS. So the basis of whether, now, if you look at the first specialist area, it says transport planning. Now, you may ask yourself, what is the difference between the transport planning here and whether you could do TPP, which is a transport planning professional route? The main difference is for the CEng route, you need to have engineering degree, whereas you, for the TPP, you don't need to have an engineering degree. You can be any, your first degree could be anything. That's the main difference. Next. Oh, I think we skipped. So, right. Once your initial assessment outcome comes, you'll be able to proceed. And if it says you are okay for the standard route, you'll submit your portfolio of evidence and you'll be required to attend a professional review interview. So the interview will be based on your portfolio of evidence, which you'll be taken through step by step. As I said, normally we have a face-to-face, physically in the room interview, but with COVID, all this has been swapped and changed into online interviews. So the process is quite simple. CIHT has been doing it since the beginning of this year, and this is applicable to the TPP process as well. I am actually doing 2 TPP reviews tomorrow, one tomorrow and one on Monday, and it's both of them are going to be online. Next. So this is giving an insight into what a reviewer would be saying. So thinking, so can this candidate manage a high profile project, multi finance project? Can he or she deal with a key client and have an interpersonal dialogue with them? Can they manage a team successfully? Can they be responsible for the health and safety of the company and protect the legal position of their organization? Can they manage budgets successfully? And how would they apply the principles of sustainability to their work? And are they able to act ethically and no underhand dealings going on? So this is in the mind of the reviewer. And personally, also what I find very helpful is the reviewer will ask themselves, would I employ this person in my company during the interview? And they will ask themselves, so for me, if I don't want to employ this person in my company, they've not demonstrated their competence and their skill set. Next, please. So you're not all about potential, it's actually how you're operating at the moment. You need to demonstrate that. Very, very important. One of the areas you say is you need to personalize it to yourself and demonstrate that it's you yourself who can do all the work, not your team can do the work. You are managing the team. You need to be confident with your people, your project, your client, and your budget. And if there is any scope creep, you can manage the change management on that and understand the full legal implication of your work. Next, please. So this is just to understand how the reviewers would go about their work, really. They don't score the individual sections. It's not scored. They will be using a form with the different elements of the Engineering Council objective, which is like the objective I outlined earlier. So they will say, right, this person has demonstrated this level. This is satisfactory or it's not. So there is no marking at all. You don't have like, say, 5 out of 10 or 6 out of 10. It's just a qualitative assessment. So if there is no evidence through the portfolio and the interview that the person has met one of the 5 objectives, it will be deemed as unsatisfactory and most likely fail the process. And it's all done on balance. So nobody gets 100%. I mean, because it's not marked on 100%, it will be exceptionally good or, you know, unsatisfactory. Next slide, please. Okay, now this is giving you an idea of what is expected when you submit your portfolio. Because portfolio is basically all the words you need to write to support you and demonstrate your competence in the 5 areas. Next. So basically, make sure your document is succinct and focused. Don't write, make it too wordy and irrelevant. So sometimes you can say something in 1 paragraph that you can actually manage to say in 2 sentences. So don't drag and elaborate on it more than it should be. Project summary is an overview of what you plan to say, not the full script. Focus on your key message, what you did, not the technical details of the project, and use bullet points. Next, please. Okay, you need to show, very important, what you yourself have demonstrated and contribute to the project. Have you challenged or improved a process? You need to prove that or demonstrate that. Have you applied a process in an unusual or challenging situation? Have you adopted or modified processes to suit individual clients' needs or project needs? Next slide, please. So English, right. Can everybody see how you read it? It may read all right, but I'm sure you notice all the various spelling mistakes. So we do not want this. We want good English. Make sure you spell check and make sure whoever works with you, particularly your mentor, make sure your mentor double check your work with you. But the mentor is not there to do your work for you. They provide direction for you. Next slide, please. So appendices, you can submit appendices, but don't provide unnecessary appendices, and it's not a word count process at all. You need to make sure that the appendices evidence what you claim in your portfolio, and an opportunity to clearly reference and add pertinent additions to complement your submission. If it doesn't complement, don't put it in there. Next, please. So examples of what is considered useful. So photographs, sketches, calculations, reports, contract documents, risk assessment, environmental impact assessment, public consultation, technical drawings, programs, emails, and letters. Next, please. So this is and for each of these to make sure they are properly referenced and calculation, and that's been done and absolutely understood by yourself. And especially on contract front, the key sections that's prepared by you, don't just submit the whole contract. because then that makes it too wordy. Just the ones that you have personally prepared. Same for risk assessment and the environmental impact assessment, not just the whole thing, only the relevant ones. And throughout this, the theme is you've done it personally. Make sure you select the ones that you've prepared and explain how you've done it. Next. Okay, the interview is basically 75 to 90 minutes duration for CEng and IEng process. EngTech is probably 45 to 60 minutes. We start with a 15-minute presentation about a project that you've outlined in the synopsis, focusing on your role and responsibility for your qualification objective. But if you are EngTech, it will be a career summary, which is a 10-minute rather than the 15-minute. So your interview would be carried out by 2 professionally qualified practitioners. They are who's currently working for the industry. One would be a specialist in one of your areas. So if you are going through for the transport planning specialism, that person, one of the reviewers, would need to come from the transport planning background and so forth. If you are going on the structural engineering side, that one person would have experience in that and working on the structural engineering side. Your reviewers will structure the interview discussion, and they will also beforehand look at your submission and talk amongst themselves to decide what are the questions and queries that they have come across and what they need to be asking you during the interview. Next, please. So we all tend to forget that reviewers are human, they're quite subjective, but depending on that, we also have the reviewers are also subjected to being audited. So quite often we have an extra person sitting at the interview to audit us. The audit is not on you, the audit is on the reviewers to make sure they are doing their job correctly. So the interview could be long or short, but the long interviews should not be too long either. So maximum is 90 minutes for the CEng and IEng side. Next, please. So remember, we're trying our best to help you pass. We've seen, reviewers have seen a lot and done a lot of interviews, so they know what they're looking for. Although we try to get candidates to pass, we will not spend too much time dragging the whole interview out if it takes too much time. So I personally, when I was doing an interview in my first couple of years, I try and pull as much out from a candidate which was not quite meeting the mark or demonstrating their competence in a particular area, but we dragged it out too long, so the interview was way too long. And subsequently, I've learned that I need to stop at a certain point, or not drag out, trying to elicit information which is not there. So that's very important to note. But remember, we're trying to get you to pass as much as we can. Next, please. The individual route. So individual route is a little bit complicated. So if those people who have not got the knowledge and understanding of principles as set down by the Engineering Council, so if you don't have the MEng, which is Master of Engineering or its equivalent, you need to complete a 3-stage technical report process. I think this is the main one that we're going to cover. I'm not going to cover the further learning report because not many people fall into that area. If you If you think you are in that area or you've been advised after you submitted your initial assessment, information will be provided, but I'm just going to stick on the main one, which is a technical report. It's 3-stage. We can go into the next stage now. Next slide, please. So technical report is basically demonstrate that you've met the knowledge area so that you are basically up to speed and you can start applying for your professional review process. So the key areas are expressed in the Engineering Council's accreditation of higher education programs, and it's based on the following 6 areas. So science and mathematics, engineering analysis, design, economic, legal, social, ethical, and environmental context, engineering practice, and additional general skills. Next slide, please. So if you want to find out more about it, go on to that link to find out about the standards. Next slide, please. So 3 stages. Stage 1, submission of a submission. Stage 1 is basically a synopsis of what you want to progress with in your main technical report. So you need to submit a 500 to 1,000 word outlining your proposed content for the technical report. And this can be submitted at any time of the year. Stage 2 is once you've agreed with your mentor that this is the synopsis that is the best for you, and that depends on your topic area. You need to discuss that with your mentor. Stage 2 is your submission of once it's been approved, you can submit your technical report, which is up to 8,000 words, and you've got a year from the synopsis being approved to submit it. Once you've submitted it and it's been approved, you go through the technical report interview, which is held twice a year, one in spring, roughly about May, June time, and the other one in autumn, which is around November time. Next, please. So this is, I won't read it all out. So essentially it elaborates on what it expects you to do in stage 1. Next, please. So stage 2, a full technical report. And I think I've said that already. This is all based on your feedback given by your stage 1 assessors. Next, please. So you remember, if you go through the technical report route and you're successful, in this process, you would be undertaking 2 interviews. First interview is for the technical report interview, and they will invite you to the interview, and 2 people will conduct interviews, and it normally lasts around 1 hour. So you're going to describe your career to date, outlining your achievements, and then the interview will be structured to demonstrate your range and depth of knowledge and understanding. And this is, of course, based all on your technical report. If you're successful, you go forward to professional review. Next, please. So in the meantime, you need to make sure you've achieved all your CPD records. And although it requires a minimum of 25 hours per year for the previous 2 years prior to application, I would suggest you make sure you have more than the minimum and at least submit 3 years to 4 years if you can, because if you do the minimum of everything, it shows that you're just doing it for the sake of getting through to the professional review, and it's not your real intention. So I will advise my candidates normally to do more than the minimum 25 hours per year, and more than the minimum 2 years. So this consists of structural reading on various techniques and processes, self-studied that you've not done before, for example, like learning your new computer software, and technical discussion with colleagues, where you meet and learn about new processes and approaches and how you could share knowledge. Presentation, which require you to do research, and there is a very detailed CPD record keeping template in CIHT. So if you're a member of CIHT, you'll be able to link into my CIHT forum, which will give you the CPD record template to go. And this meeting also counts as CPD, so make sure you get that identified. Next, please. So initial registration. So all this to confirm you've completed the learning, to demonstrate your enthusiasm, everything. It's all initial registration. Make sure you register with CIHT, and they will take you through the process. Next slide, please. And application process, everything will be submitted to make sure you submit everything and send it to CIHT in PDF format. And if it's too big on a standard email, you can transfer it or whatever format you need to zip it and then send that link to CIHT. And the education team will do checks, etc. for you. Next slide. So submission deadlines, these are all the deadlines would be current in the web page. So go and have a look at the web page for specific dates, and the interviews, although it says normally held, actually we don't need to do that now with the online ability to do interviews. You can do virtual interviews, not based in any local specific areas. Next slide, please. So that's, I think we've covered that. Moving on. I think this is the wrong slide, Jonathan. You've got the old one. Yeah, very important, importance of having a mentor. So mentor, mentor, mentor. I think these are 3 words you need to drill into your head. Once you've decided you want to set up on this route to getting your professional qualification, make sure you get a mentor. Good news is the Dubai Lot group, we've got our first mentor, and the mentor is actually on hand on the panel to share his journey. It will be Fergal Han. He's just volunteered, or I kind of coerce him into it. Importance of having a mentor is help you establish when you're ready to apply for the qualification. It's never too early to think about it, but making sure you've got sufficient experience and you'll be able to identify what gap in your knowledge or experience need to be addressed. And moving forward with the mentor, you can decide when you're going to get it. And also, if most of you are working full time, so don't be overly ambitious on your time scale. So for example, if you've got 6 or 7 years working experience already, you think, all right, okay, I'm going to sit for this and through the standard route, and I'm going to aim for March next year. I think that is highly ambitious. So you need to make sure you sit through with the mentor who's going to provide you with your help on identifying your gaps, deciding when you're ready to apply for qualification, on the content and subject matter, and which of the specialist areas good you need to take forward through, who will be able to challenge you in your assumptions and conclusions, and comment on your draft that you've prepared, and actually advise, be a peer reviewer on your interviews, so on your techniques and style. And not only with the mentors, if you have a team leader who's really, really proactive and willing to help, they will be able to be good audience for you to practice your interview with. Next slide, please. Yeah, so another word, reviewers are experienced people. They are all volunteers, nobody get paid. And the reviewers are always invited back after each set of interviews. They are all invited back, and there is a discussion and refresher course for all existing reviewers to make sure they understand the process going forward and what needs amending slightly. Next. I think I've said this already. I think this is another, I think, Jonathan, you've got the wrong slide deck. So next slide, please. So yeah, prepare for professional review. Again, this is, you need to make sure you have sufficient time. Next, please. Skip this, please. This is all the wrong slide deck. Wrong. Next one. Next. Next, please. Can we move on, please? Don't think anybody can hear me. Okay. Can we stop at journeys? Go back, please. I think the slide seems to have stuck. Can we go back? No. Yeah, Jonathan, you've got all the wrong deck on here. Okay. Never mind. Next, so we're talking about the journeys now. It shouldn't say TPP. It should have said nothing. Journeys. So the journey, we're going to have Fergal, Sriram, and Have talking about their personal journey. So briefly, Fergal is going to talk about his standard route. Sriram is going to talk about his technical report route, and Have is going to talk about his route through the EU qualification. Okay, on to you, Fergal.
Yes, thank you very much, Michelle, and hello, hello everyone. Yeah, so my name's Fergal Hand. I'm a chartered engineer and a member of the Chartered Institute of Highways and Transportation. I've just found out that I'm also a mentor. Thank you, Michelle. I'm going to spend a few minutes giving you a very brief insight into my specific route towards becoming a chartered engineer with CIHT while working here in the Middle East. I'll also hopefully be able to answer any questions you have in the Q&A session towards the end, if you have any specific questions towards my route to chartership. I'm currently based in Abu Dhabi. I'm working as a transportation and road safety engineer with Duffy Consulting Engineers. We're a small niche engineering consultancy. We specialize in traffic engineering, transport planning, road safety engineering, and road safety auditing. I've been working in the Middle East for just over 10 years now. Yeah, I first, what led me to the Middle East was I graduated from the National University of Ireland in Galway with an honours bachelor degree in civil engineering. That was in 2010. You may remember that 2010 was probably not the best year on record to be graduating with a civil engineering degree. So along with a lot of my classmates, some of whom completely changed their career because they weren't able to get jobs, and others emigrated. I emigrated and I came to the Middle East, specifically Abu Dhabi in the beginning. In my early years here, I managed to obtain kind of quite a wide range of experience, working on transport planning studies, road and infrastructure design, as well as spending a period of time on site with a site supervision team on a major highway project that was over in Qatar, actually. So after a few years, I found myself naturally drifting towards the area of transport planning and since then road safety. And it was at that point that I thought CIHT was really the best institute for me to go through towards my engineering chartership, which was always a goal of mine. So if you go on to the next slide, Jonathan. Yeah, so as Michelle mentioned, there are a number of different routes that you can take towards engineering chartership. After submitting my initial assessment application, which is actually a very quick, easy, straightforward process to do, CIHT the education team got back to me and told me that I could actually progress through the standard route, which just involves, I say just, it's a little bit more work than that, but it involves submitting your portfolio of evidence and then attending a professional review interview. Just to touch on, I saw a question come through actually from Stuart there in the questions in the chat box. I was lucky to be accepted. Not lucky, but I was accepted on the standard route with only a bachelor of an honors bachelor of engineering as opposed to a master's in engineering. And I would say to anyone who graduated before, I graduated in 2010. If you graduated, I think it's before 2013, there are some universities where CIHT accept the EngTech honors degree as your base level of education, meaning that you can go straight through the standard route as opposed to going down the other routes or having to go back and get further education. So once I got approval to proceed with this standard route, I then spent the next year doing a little bit of work in the evenings, on the weekends, working on my portfolio of evidence, go back over, refining it, making sure there was no gaps and that I was confident that all my competencies were 100% covered. I then, in September 2017, I submitted my portfolio of evidence to CIHT, and in November or late October 2017, I went over to Hong Kong to sit my professional review interview. I could go London or Hong Kong, and I said I'd just go Hong Kong to explore a bit of the world. Why not? So looking back on the overall process, I found it, I found it quite challenging. I think it's meant to be that way. But while it may be a cliche, I found it very rewarding, and there's a lot of support you get back from CIHT. So on that note, I'll leave it there. If there are any questions regarding my route specifically or anything else I can help out with, feel free to ask a question. I'll hang around here till the end, or also you can contact me in further days, weeks, and I'm happy to help out anyone or answer any questions regarding the chartership process. So back to you, Michelle.
Saying, Firam, your turn. No sound. There seemed to be a problem with Shriram. So if we can't get him, I suggest that we move on to Javi. Javi, are you ready to go?
Hi. Yeah, no problem.
Great
Hi,
stuff.
Michelle. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you very
Okay.
well. Great.
All right. I'm Hervé. I'm a French engineer, and I will explain about my specific route that I handle with CIHT because it's called the EU route. And I will explain my journey. So I'm presently a technical director with Arcadis Middle East. I've been in Middle East for 5 years now, but before that, all my career was in France. So I spent more than 25 years experience in different kind of infrastructure project, highways, public transport, master planning. So I had different managers role of major infrastructure project with experience in public partnership and design and build project, and also construction supervision. Briefly also, I had also an experience of director of operation in a small engineering company of 120 people. So with my experience back to France, I was called to work in Middle East with Arcadis on a big design and build project in Doha for a big highway, about 50 kilometers highway as a designer. So I moved to Middle East back 2016, and of course in France, my engineer degree was widely recognized, you know, because my school is well known, and in France you are engineer as soon as you go, as you get your diploma in a grade of master. So I was also a member of different technical like Syntec engineering and FIDIC and so on. So when I arrived in Qatar, it was quite new for me. So I asked myself how I can manage to have a better recognition of my experience, because of course most of the people here in Middle East, they don't know about the French system. And yes, CIHT was the right to be member first. So I get networking there, and also professional development with different technical meetings, site visit, and so on. And of course, after I quickly ask myself to become chartered, because most of the management position here in Middle East are requiring this chartered position. So that's why I explore with CIHT this new possibilities, the EU route. So it's kind of standard route with simplified professional review, I would say. Okay, Basically, you have also an initial assessment of your education. So it's what Michelle explained before. They check if your degree is recognized and accredited. So this is quite straight away also. There is a EU base, so you can check if your own diploma is recognized and which level it is recognized. And after that, okay, you have one application to do. So this application is mainly a report about 2,500 words also about your experience with the demonstration of your competencies and skills. The same main topics, knowledge and understanding, application to practice, technical and commercial leadership, interpersonal skills, and personal commitment. So it took me maybe one month or some spare time to write down my experience and focus on these topics. And of course, you have to be backed also by 2 sponsors, chartered engineer. And after that, with all the documentation like CPD and all the resume and things like that, you are submitting this application. And I have to say it's quite straight away also. The full process took me like about 2-3 months. And I would encourage everybody who are in the same case than me with an European degree to also apply for this chartered route. Hope that this EU route will stay alive, because I don't know what's gonna happen with the Brexit. So hopefully it will stay, and I think it's very, very good route. I have to say that further to that, I also apply for the project we were handling for the international award for CIHT, and we were happy in 2019 to receive a highly commended recognition also for our project. So that's it. And if anybody has question, I would be happy to provide some more information if required. Back to you, Michelle.
Okay, thanks, Javi. Good chat. We will try and get Shriram back. So can we scroll back to his slides? Shriram, can you try and get back in? He seems to be on mute. Is somebody unmute him or something like that?
Michelle, he's off. Shriram, you're off mute.
Yeah, no.
Still can't hear.
I still can't hear him. So rather than wait, I think we just let's go through. I will read his slide, although maybe not too well, but because his personal history, in addition to what is on the slide. So can we go back to his first slide, and if you can join in through the panel discussion. So Shriram is a experienced engineer with 15 years experience. He's both a team leader and a senior project engineer with Khatib and LMA. That's based in, I believe, in Dubai. He's acquired his CEng end of last year, and he's got it through the technical report route. And he's background really, he's got his MBA, he's got his technical Master of Technical Engineering and BSc in Civil Engineering. And next slide, please. So Shriram is basically had to undertake, go through the technical report route, which is basically the 3 stages, which includes the interview. The reason why he had to take this route is his degree comes from India. He attended the Indian university. And at that time, that university degree, master's, was not accredited into the Engineering Council's section of accredited degrees. So that's why he had to undertake that. But subsequent to him getting his qualification, his colleagues who attended the same university and got the same masters, they are able to go straight through to the standard route. So that the message here is, if you can't get, if your master's from an overseas university is not currently accredited, you need to go through the technical report route. If the assessment, initial assessment says, double check that you need that. But that doesn't mean that people further down the line would not have that master's degree accredited. So essentially that's that process. So unfortunately, I'm sure Shriram will be able to explain a little bit more, but we couldn't get him online. So once he's got his interview, passed his technical report interview, he went through the professional interview. I believe it took him about a year or 2 years. Shriram, if you could take, so basically from May 2019, his technical report route, technical report interview was 2019 May, and he sat for his interview, his professional review interview in 2009 October. So short period of time, but I'm sure it took him a few more months to prep for the technical report route. Although his interview was successfully completed in May. So 2 years. So that's, I like this, very interactive. Thanks, Shriram. Shriram. So that's it. So I believe we open for a panel discussion. Is there any other questions that's not been addressed so far that people want to actively question before we go to the UAE perspective? Okay, there's a question that came through to say, is it only UK universities that are accredited? No, this is what Dennis has asked is on transport planning. We're talking about this engineering route, which is a different process. So currently the UK for TPP, which is a transport planning professional interview reviews, this is accredited UK university masters. So it's not just anyone, and you'll be able to, if you're interested in the transport planning side, you'll be able to find it on the general CIHT website. And I believe there is a question also earlier, I don't know if anybody has seen it, about, where was it? Was there any other questions? Let's see. And I was just confirming to a couple of the queries that the online interviews are available from now on. And it won't be changed after COVID has ended. So it's just to make it more accessible. And unlike most people, and like Fergal, I think most people will not travel to a far out place. They will probably do it at their hometown. But he's combining business with pleasure, I think. So that's great. Anything else?
Hi, Michelle. Yes, hi, Michelle and everyone. There was also a question in regards to the degree level for the CEng, and is the MEng or the master requirement only applies for who graduated after a certain year? You answered that as well.
I think we've answered that one, but basically yes. The Engineering Council, I think I need to double check on the year, but Fergal mentioned him able to go through the standard route because even though he's got a BEng, I believe it's 2012 or somewhere around, but after that year, Engineering Council decided that everybody coming to sit for it via the standard route needs to have a MEng. So, but before that date, accredited BEng are accredited. So for that information, you need to double check with, or I can double check for you, but people could double check to the education at CIHT.org.uk. We certainly will be able to find that out and advise everybody as well. So that's the answer.
Yes, great. We have a question from Adil. He's asking about the CPD hours. He has it recorded from January, not June. Will that be an issue?
What? But Adil is talking about TPP.
CPD.
No, he is actually applying for TPP, not CEng. So, but in terms of the year doesn't matter. You just need to make sure you've got in a year. Yeah. So I would assume if you need to, whatever you have when you start, pick a full year. So I would advise you take a minimum of, you enter a minimum of 3 years and you have more than 25 hours, because I'm not very happy if people just submit me their CPD with only 25 hours. Personally. A very hard taskmaster I am.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. That's clear.
Okay. Any more queries?
Nothing I can see in the chat box.
Well, I can't see either. Okay, so shall we move on? So who's doing the UK perspective? I mean, the UAE perspective. Yeah, let me start, eh? Go on, next slide, please. Oh yeah, so this is basically the same message that we did for the TPP. So with the start of the TPP, with the start of the launch of the CIHT Dubai, we are looking at training and professional development. So we'd like to encourage as many professionals and organizations in the Middle East to check out professional qualification, especially in the context of this. I would say make sure you check out the engineering ones. So although main coverage today is about the CEng route, if you are looking at IEng, and basically an IEng, you don't need a master of engineering. you could, if you've got an accredited BEng, you should be able to go through on that. If all the relevant requirements fits, you can go through on the IEng side. And similarly, interviews are arranged online as well for that route. Make sure that you record all your CPDs. Template is available on the My CIHT subset. And you can only access that if you are a member of CIHT. Now, very important, you can't, you need to be a member of CIHT if you want to take the professional review qualification. So the available, we have TPP, CEng, and if any of you have any queries and would like to talk about your career, if you kind of want to chat with relevant people about your career going forward, we are happy to work with you on that. So not only if taking you through the qualification, we will also help you kind of guide you through your career as well. If you are mid-stage and you want to decide whether you want to go forward, which path you want to go forward through with, always happy to help. Myself and Andrew, we are looking after the membership and the and the professional development training side for the Dubai Group. Andrew and myself have set up various spreadsheets, so we are looking for mentors. So very important, people who've got especially gone through CEng route through CIHT. We will welcome them to be part of our mentor list, and the wider the specialism area, the better, because unlike TPP, where as long as you are a qualified TPP person, with the CEng route or engineering route, there is quite a lot of different specialism. So we would like to encourage mentors coming forward from the different groups so that we can allocate the candidates to that particular person with that specialist area as them. Okay, is there another slide? I don't know if there is. Next slide, let's see. Okay, so yeah, bits, I think I've talked through most of them. Okay, so if you've got any question, I'm also, because of me following through, I've been with CIHT since senior engineer, so I've been working with the engineering, with the education department and the team, education team in CIHT. So I will be able to ask them a lot of questions as well, and I have quite a good background on what they do about the CEng and the TPP route. So feel free to drop us any email on any subject matter, profession development wise, obviously. Okay, over to you, Nabras.
Yes, thank you, Michelle. I think we answered the questions that we received. However, I will write down my email just in case anyone has any question. I can pass it after to Jonathan or Michelle. Thank you so much.
Okay, I think it's, we ended.
Okay, so thanks Michelle, thanks everyone. Yeah, I think we've covered most of the questions and the answers. A, because I think your presentation was so comprehensive, and B, because I think we've actually had a bit of a Q&A earlier. And I see Nabras has just put her email address is actually in the chat. So if you've got any follow-up questions, then just contact Nebraska. The email addresses, either the Gmail or the Parsons address that she's given. So as ever, I think it's been an interesting evening, a lot of information to take in. I mean, the TPP event that we did back in July was an awful lot of detail, and I think the engineering event today has certainly provided a lot of food for thought and inspiration of what to do and indeed what not to do in your quest to get qualified. So with that, I think it's just thanks for coming. We will be holding another seminar next month. The topic and the speaker will be announced in the next couple of weeks, and then you can register on Eventbrite in a normal way. So we look forward to seeing you then. In the meantime, if there's anything you want to know about the CIHT Dubai Group or get involved with the committee, our email address is at the bottom here, ciht.dubaigroup@gmail.com. And you can scan the barcode there to find out a little bit more about CIHT itself and the activities of the institution. So with that, as I say, thanks for coming, and good night.